What you doing, zombies? I'm DAC. I'm going to talk about World Beyond Season 1, Episode 9, The Deepest Cut. This is the first part of the 2-episode season finale, but since they're still considered 2 episodes, I'm going to do a video for each episode. So here we go. The Deepest Cut refers to cuts both physically on characters and emotional ones. It opens up with Huck talking to Elizabeth. I guess it was back while they were still on her scouting trip. Okay. And they're just talking about how they have plans for one of the girls, and they don't really say who it is. We've seen Huck talking with Hope most of the time. They seem to be closer. Really, until this episode, I think this is the first time we really see interaction between Huck and Iris by themselves. So, I mean, it was most likely Hope. Yeah. So then they're driving. Huck crashes the truck, says it doesn't work. Nobody really checks it because it's the middle of the night, and they hike off to some other building. And it's like, okay. Doesn't seem like the smartest thing to do in the middle of the night, and while they're on their way, they get surrounded by a bunch of empties with barbed wire connecting them, and after the fight, they think, okay, Felix got slashed on the ankle a little bit, and pretty badly. I don't know, maybe with some really razor sharp wire. Most of the time, barbed wire like that doesn't leave that big of a cut. It was like 3 to 4 inches of a cut. I don't know, maybe it was bad. But there's a moment where it looks like Huck does something suspicious. And that's pretty much most of this episode, is everyone having growing suspicious of Huck. Now, us as viewers know to be suspicious of Huck. The characters themselves, it kind of just suddenly springs up. They're all suddenly just becoming suspicious of Huck. Some of it seems justified. A lot of it just seems, I don't know, it seems like it just randomly happened, like they're just suddenly like that. And even though this seems to be another Huck-focused episode, the flashbacks, because of course there's flashbacks in all these episodes, the flashback is of Felix, mainly. Maybe because it hurt. He's the one that got hurt. He got that deep cut in his ankle. So he's having flashbacks. The first one was like him talking to Huck whenever she was first coming into the community. Not really interrogating her, but he was in charge of vetting people that came in. It also seems to be the first time he meets Will, because Will comes in. They have a little exchange, kind of hit it off, not in the most positive way, but then the next flashback is Felix and Will together, and just kind of showing them being a couple, and also the first time Felix is telling Will about Dr. Bennett leaving and Felix not knowing what to do. Then we have another flashback of a family dinner where Will breaks the news that he's going to be taking Felix's spot, and then that just gets drama and stuff. But yeah, that's kind of what the flashbacks are. It was more about Felix and Will. There was also these, like, Felix being more independent, or like not as trusting of people. He always wants to do stuff himself. We see that when Will tries to make a cup of coffee and Felix does it himself. But yeah, that's kind of it. It doesn't make too much sense at the moment why they're doing these flashbacks, but it becomes apparent at the end of the episode. So while this is going on, Felix is worried about how his foot's going to be able to walk, and everyone else is checking out the house. This is when Iris and Huck have their exchange. Huck goes in a room, immediately closes it, says there's a bunch of dead people in there, nobody should go in it. Everyone just believes her. And then when they do try to move on, Felix is obviously too hurt, so they have to go back. And then this is when all the suspicions start really going on. Once Huck is starting to be like, we may have to leave Felix, she's not even like stern about it. She's like, obviously he can't go on. She's like nice about it. But yeah, this is when Iris starts having suspicions. I assume the flashbacks were because Felix was starting to have suspicions too. Maybe he knew that Huck was the one that cut him a little bit, or had some kind of feeling about it. Iris says she has a feeling, and then she starts talking to her sister. And then Hope and her kind of have a little heated moment, a little argument. Them being like, oh, they don't really know each other as well as they thought. Sure. Because Hope, she thinks she really knows Huck, so she's really trusting. But after this, she goes and, I guess, in a mood, or for some reason, she uses this opportunity to go and really get motivated to decode that little book. And this is probably my biggest gripe with the episode, is she does it. Okay, sure, we knew that was probably going to happen anyways. But the code she finds ends up saying, Raph embed agent en route to NY with assets +4, all 4 expendable. Why? Why was this a little note? It's obviously referring to when Huck was found on a raft, that was her story, and then her bringing one of them to New York, but then the other 4 that are expendable. How did they know this? I don't know. This doesn't make any sense why there's this little book of codes, and this is what one of the codes says. Is it the only book? It looks like there was a bunch of codes in it. Was all the codes just for this one message? I don't know. It makes no sense. Especially because this wasn't a plan beforehand. This is stuff that's happening now. And yet they found this book in a seemingly abandoned refuel station. Maybe it was still used and they just happened to stop by when nobody was there. It was weird, but it was enough to make Hope ask Huck to leave. Leaving Iris and Felix, and then that's where they go on. So, the next part of the episode is focusing on Elton. Elton's having a tough time. He's been just devastated that his mom is the one that killed Hope's mom. So, there's a moment he's just tearing out the pages of her book, and then the wind catches it, and there's just scent flying out. He, I guess, regrets it, goes, chases the pages, leads him to Percy. Percy's still alive, badly injured. For some reason, Elton drags him out to a field because that seems like the safest of places to take him compared to literally anywhere else. I don't know, whatever. But then, right when he does that, Percy pops up. I'm like, what? Turns out it's a hallucination, and the rest of Percy and Elton's time together in this episode is spent just talking to this hallucination. Eventually, Elton realizes Percy was shot, not bashed in with a wrench, and then this is kind of proof that Silas also didn't do it. But then most of the time it's him also trying to save Percy because he wants to know the truth from him, if anything. But then there is a nice, deep conversation that Elton has with this hallucination, and it's probably the best moment of the season. That it's so nice. Everything slows down. You see a nice little leaf blow by, and it really is like just a deep conversation of like whether Elton should leave Percy behind because these empties are coming, or save him, and then he's also like he's just heartbroken because his mom. And all this stuff is just coming together. Elton's really not knowing what to do. He doesn't know if he should just give up on this, if the world just can't be saved. There's so much, and it's so nice, and it really made me like Percy as a character even more, even though this is just a hallucination. But it still seems like something Percy could actually have a conversation like, something like it at least. But yeah, I just really like what is going on. And then Elton finds a radio on Percy, and he tries to tune into someone, gets a hold of Huck. He's starting to tell Huck where he's at. That's when Percy decides to pop up and let Elton know that Huck was the one that shot him. And then, of course, immediately stops. Huck goes back to Hope. They just continue along. It seems like Huck just ignores it, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, for the end of this episode, we know Elton finally knows Huck did it. Percy's still pretty alive. Iris and Felix got left alone Still don't know where Silas is exactly. And then Hope finally is suspicious of Huck. And they're going off on their own. So everyone's split up. Everyone's suspicious. And this will lead us into the next and final episode of the season. The one thing we are left with is we get to see a little scene of Will on the run. Okay, that's the whole reason I guess they showed flashbacks of Felix. I guess they were actually flashbacks for Will. It'll make sense for that. It's just you don't notice Will until they do that one short little scene of Will run away. But I don't know. It was an okay episode. It wasn't the most amazing thing going on, but that one conversation was enough to really make me like it. And it actually is good to set up to the next episode and the last episode of the season. So let me know what you thought, if you're liking where this episode is going for this season finale. I liked it. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Just let me know whatever you think. But if you like listening to me talk about it, go and like the video. You want to see me talk more about I guess World Beyond, other zombie shows, stuff like that, go and subscribe to my channel. You can see why I do all that. But until next time, I'm DSC. Thank you for watching, and bye.